Welcome to Unscripted Gaming. My name is Josh, joined as ever by my illustrious co-hosts Ray and Mike. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Doing well, thank you. Hope you guys are having a great evening.
I am doing A-OK. It's the technical term, I believe.
A-OK.
A-OK.
Mike,
Uh-huh.
which Queen countdown? Clock
2 days.
T-minus 2 days.
2
at time of
days.
recording.
Well, actually, what I should say is they're turning off those servers tomorrow night at like 9 p.m. My time zone.
Oh wow, they're gonna be off for like a day and a half.
Basically.
Wow.
Well, I guess, they'll be off until presumably reset, which will be noon on Tuesday.
Okay. So they'll come on for reset, and I mean, I would imagine that they will do some like stuff in those hours before the actual launch of how they always do that in world stuff. Okay, question: are there things that are getting vaulted again during this? Okay.
That reminds me, I need to go do something. But yes, so
After the
vaulting.
This is my fault. How did we
You
already
did.
start with Destiny talk? Damn it!
Did
I'm
we
so
even
sorry.
talk about the Bungie being bought by Sony news?
We never actually did talk about that.
Which we can
is
talk about
coming in
after I tell you about how I am excited to look forward to this expansion. There's basically a gun that's a needler. That's not a needler now,
can't believe I
but is a
wrote this.
needler functionally. So that's pretty
cool.
cool. It's an
Needler's cool.
SMG called the Osteostriga. If you pre-order it like I did, you get a cool skin for it. Use our referral code down below in the description at www.givemikemoney.com. But yeah, pretty excited. Things getting vaulted. It's the Tangled Shore is getting vaulted.
Good.
The
It's time for it to go, yeah.
The Forsaken campaign is being vaulted.
Okay.
Wow.
What?
Seems
and
a little
I
early
think,
for that, but
Yeah, it's only been 2-3 years. Maybe?
yeah, it's because a lot of it, if the Tangled Shore is going, it's all
I guess
there basically.
it's all there, so it kind of makes sense.
Okay.
It's it's not as like. I mean, it just it puts Destiny in a really weird spot story wise. I mean, it has never been like people I think used to say that like Destiny used to be an easier game to get into, and I don't know if that was ever necessarily true because I had no idea what was happening when I first started playing Destiny, and I needed a friend of your guys's to actually help me figure out what was happening. And I appreciate them for doing that because I really like Destiny. And it's just like there's no great in-game way. There's like a little timeline, but in the top right corner of your map screen, but like there's no real great way to see what like is going on if you're like someone who's gonna start playing the Witch Queen on Tuesday and you've never played Destiny before. I mean, it's like I really understand those Steam reviews that are like, I have thousands of hours in this game. I would not recommend it. It's like, I love this game. This is my favorite game. It's my favorite game. But I just don't know if I can recommend it to people who have like never played a Destiny or aren't willing to be like, have me like personally escort them into Destiny to like help them have a good time. So
I've been kind of saying this for years, and I say it in our like group chats a lot. I don't know if I've ever said it on podcast. For casual people like me and Josh, this Destiny is not made for us. It's made for the mics of the world that like will dump a month's worth of game time into Destiny over the course of a year, and be very happy that they did that. And that's not me trying to shit on it. It's like you like what you like that game. But it's not meant for the casual. It hasn't been for the casual audience since like I want to say the last expansion, the light one, where they added the cryo whatever. Well, once they started adding pay-to-win superpowers into the game, it wasn't for us anymore.
I will disagree that it is a pay-to-win superpower, but
It was when it first came out.
Well, yeah, it's been nerfed significantly since then. But
when it first came out, it was do you have this? No, don't play PvP. You're gonna lose.
This has been adjusted, but it's still pretty good in those nightfalls. I'll tell you that much.
I would say, the weird like Destiny 2 is now, and all, obviously they have made decisions throughout the course of Destiny and Destiny 2 based on like early development and the struggles that they've had with the engine and everything, and just trying to streamline as much as they can to the point where, like, base Destiny 2 is basically not available anymore. So, like, yes, you can get Destiny free to play, but like it's almost useless except as a launcher to then buy the later expansions. As somebody who used to play a lot of Warframe, I remember an argument that like, oh, Warframe's weird because like the story's so disjointed and we don't really know what's going on and it's really hard to get into unless somebody sherpas you through it, and Destiny's not too bad and there's a little bit more going on and yada yada. Destiny is now where Warframe was, and I haven't played Warframe in years, so I don't know where it's at right now, but like it's at that point where it's like there's so much that has gone on and changed and the meta has evolved, and you have to have a guide because most of the content that makes anything make sense that is releasing now is unplayable. So
yeah, I mean, we are really in the weeds here. Especially this expansion is one that is featuring this central character, Savathun, who has been like, they have been building to this for a significant period of time. And I think it'll still be compelling, even if you are pretty new here. But like, they're like, oh my gosh, she was Osiris the whole time. It's gonna be like, who is Osiris? Like, I don't know who that is. Why are we talking about the Egyptian god of like everything all of a sudden? I don't understand. But so yeah, that is just a problem that Destiny has right now. I think as far for like the Destiny community, I think the game is in the best spot it's ever been. They've really, in the past where like they hadn't quite figured out the seasonal storytelling and seasonal loop of stuff, they've really hit like making it so it doesn't feel like there's huge droughts of stuff in between like big content like expansions. Like the seasonal things are really good little bits of lore and story and new drops of equipment and mods that change your builds and loadouts. Like, so it's like you said, Ray, I think it's as for like the people who like make Destiny one of like the 3 games they play.
Yeah.
Because it's in a super good spot. And if
yeah, I love
I think like
Destiny, but it's one of those games. I've played a lot of Destiny. I love the story of Destiny. I don't understand everything, but like what I do talk about, what I do learn about, I very much enjoy. But like, if Mike or Matt are not in the Discord when games are happening, I am never gonna play Destiny, because those two have to be there to make it compelling and interesting and fun, and to explain the wonky things that are happening throughout. But also, I'm gonna get Witch Queen and play, and
I actually like Destiny's PvP until Halo Infinite came out, and I haven't touched it since then. Because that's all I wanted. I just wanted some good Halo.
You're like, I want the gun mode. I want the gun only mode. Stop double jumping. Stop that. Stop that nonsense.
Right.
But actually, Josh, I wanted to, like you were saying, how with the vaulting, and this kind of goes into like the actual news story, but like how you talk about with the vaulting, and it had making Destiny has always kind of been like a weird tumultuous kind of thing for Bungie, because first they started this, they were working under Activision, who wanted this to be like a Destiny 1, Destiny 2, Destiny 3 trilogy. And then halfway through whatever time span of Destiny 2 is, they kind of there's a lot of changes that are made at the launch of Destiny 2 that do not go over well with like the people like myself and the community, I would say, of that people who are subscribed to the Destiny Reddit. Let's just say that. That's the polite term.
Yeah.
And
nerds.
Precisely. And then but halfway through all of this, between then and now, Bungie goes independent. And then all of a sudden, this game, Destiny 2, that was supposed to be, the stopgap between Destiny and Destiny 3, presumably, is now all of a sudden they have to pivot this from like a game that is going to be, when the PS5 comes out is when Destiny 3 will come out. So they had to go from that kind of expectation to this is the thing people are going to be playing. This thing right here is what Destiny will be. This is the same launcher .exe or whatever is going to be the same thing 10 years from now. And they have to like steer that ship and come about. And that is, I think they have Beyond Light had a lot of under the hood changes to kind of like modernize the game in a way. But I think we're beginning to see more of that. And I think that kind of ties into this news story where I think our last episode that was not Game of the Year was about, lots of acquisitions.
Mm-hmm.
Bungie is not Activision Blizzard. But they were purchased by one Sony, a name that is familiar,
Mm-hmm.
for $3.6 billion a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I find it funny in the gaming sphere because Bungie always threatens that when they go independent, they've been doing this for 30 plus years. When we go independent, we're going to have so much stuff we're going to do. And then they go independent for like a year or two, then immediately get bought. First, it was by Microsoft, then it was by Activision Blizzard, then it was again by Sony. I
Mm-hmm.
think they don't like being independent. I think they say they like being independent.
They like the idea of being independent, but they don't like the cash flow of being independent.
There it is.
Yeah, like I don't want to read the tea leaves. I don't doubt that some people like having that people at Bungie like having the freedom of independence. That usually comes with being independent, obviously. But I mean, just like you guys said, there's a difference between being a independent and I think by any kind of reasonable standard, Destiny 2 is doing pretty well. It's not like blowing up to the Twitch charts, but like it's a very popular, like healthy population playing that game.
One of the best looter shooters on the market.
Yes, how often have you heard about what the Destiny killers, etc. For like comparison. But like you guys said, cash flow is a weird thing. I think that I can't remember they got some investment from somebody, but but yes, that is probably a problem for them. And it's also hard to say no to $3.6 billion.
With also like of that $3.6 billion, almost 2.1 billion of that is for employee retention incentives. Like most of that money is just going to make sure that the people at Bungie stay at Bungie for the next couple of years. Because I think this acquisition goes into a big push from Sony to get into live service games in a bigger way.
Yeah.
So they're like, we want to make sure that this live service game is a cash flow for Sony, and that the people behind it who have taken what is essentially just a sequel in a trilogy and turned it into this massive live service game stay there and continue to do that. So honestly, to me, it makes sense to me, and they've really show Sony has shown their commitment to that independent model by saying like, look, we're gonna make sure your people stay here. Just keep doing what you're doing.
I also am of the understanding that this is for a multimedia empire. like there's talks of a Destiny show, whether it's live action or animated. Please be animated, because I just recently watched Arcane, which is the animated version of League of Legends, and it is excellent. I used to play a lot of League of Legends, and Vi was my favorite character in that game. One of the few characters I actually bought when she came out, and she has a song that came out with her. So if they do something like that, or like Dota did Dragon's Blood, which is also a animated Netflix show, that would be great. Or they could go the Halo live action route, and everyone just kind of looks at it funny, and it might be good, it might not. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm actually like, the cynical side of me says they're absolutely going the Halo live action route, so long as they can attach a big name director to it. That's like
that makes my tummy hurt. Yeah, I think that was kind of the other part of it too, because Destiny has like been, or like, Luke Smith is now the like director of Destiny I think at Bungie. That's like, I can't remember what his exact title is, but essentially his job is like the director of Destiny, not Destiny 2, the Witch Queen. Destiny.
I mean, they should just stop calling it Destiny 2. They should just call it Destiny, period.
Yes, everyone agrees with that. You should tell them that, not me. But I agree.
I would if I was there. Absolutely.
I know.
I think, honestly, yeah, they should just put out a press release and be like, all right, y'all, Destiny 2 wasn't supposed to happen. It had to happen. Y'all know why. We're just going to call them all again. We're just going to
They should just change the font size of the 2.
That's all it takes. Beep, beep, beep. I mean, there's some legal proceeding and logo registration, but you're just like, you just put a big X through the 2 in the Destiny 2 logo, and that's it. Everything else stays the same. Legal, handle what needs to be handled, but we dropped the ball.
What they should do is call it Destiny 1.
Fuck yeah, we're going back.
Like the Xbox,
call it Destiny Series X.
Destiny Series X.
Oh gosh.
Because then there's Destiny 2, Destiny ONE. That's what you gotta do. But,
I hope them the best in the future, because obviously for acquisitions, this isn't the first and won't be the last, we hope, of Bungie getting independent and acquired again by another company. It'll probably happen again, and it's fine, because they've only been going up as a studio. They haven't exactly gone down, and I'm eager to see what their next game is going to be. But Josh and Mike, you guys reminded me when you're talking about game accessibility and story accessibility. Can I talk with you guys a little bit about Final Fantasy 14?
You sure can.
Oh god, here we go.
Here we go, King. I have been playing Final Fantasy 14 on and off since the Realm Reborn. It's kind of a patch, but it's a re-release of the original game. Came out in 2012, and a couple days ago, I finally beat the Realm Reborn section of Final Fantasy 14. And gentlemen, I'm gonna do the meme. Starting as of the 22nd, they're reopening it back up. You could go play A Realm Reborn and Heavensward, the award-winning game, for free, up to level 60, for a free trial and a free month, unlimited playtime. If you like Final Fantasy and you like MMOs, you absolutely should do that. There's parts in The Realm Reborn that suck, but the game is really good. Okay, so the thing that Mike was talking about, where like if you're a brand new player, you get into the game, what are you supposed to do? The first thing the game does is it throws you, it's what's called the Novice Center. It's a chat with people of all different levels, from level 90 all the way to level 1, where they all talk and help with each other. Plus, it auto-queues you with people in the mentor system. It auto-queues you with people that'll de-level them down to you, and you can party with them, do dungeons together, do raids together. You're not going to be doing raids till near the end of certain sections, but whatever. And the game is good. It's so fucking good. I'm so glad I was able to get back into it. Holy shit. A lot of my friends dragged me back in to say, like, hey, go play FF14, because Endwalker, the newest release that settles the entire story of all of Final Fantasy 14, supposedly at the end of Endwalker, it's in the title. That's it. It's done. That's the end of the game. I am excited to play because I've got the Heaven's Word, where you are fighting nothing but dragons during this expansion of the game, and it's fucking dope. Oh shit! I need to send you guys some of the trailer footage because there's that. I'm gonna send you this GIF. There's that GIF of one of the dragoons where he's activating his gauntlets on because he sees a bunch of dragons in the distance. He needs to knock out of the sky. I'm like, what's about to happen here? You get to the game, you get this gigantic city, which is just a massive castle in the sky. You see a bunch of dragoons in the opening, just leaping from the parapets of the castle, just striking down dragons.
I do like
from the air.
dragoons are tight as fuck. Just like
the game
in
is
general.
Dope.
You know what? Hold on. I gotta open up a secret Google Doc here for reasons. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
For reasons.
For reasons. Don't mind me.
That is my biggest thing with the game having FF14 is I thought I would be annoyed going back into it, but going back into it for the past couple weeks, it's rapidly becoming my top 5 favorite Final Fantasy games. Probably.
It rules. Oh no.
It's really good. It gives you a lot of different not items, but a lot of different ways you can play the game. You can pick any class you want at any time. You don't just like in World of Warcraft, you're like, I'm gonna be a rogue, and then you're locked into that. No, you could just say like, well, I found a spear, can I be a dragoon? And you walk up to the person that teaches you to be a dragoon, boom, that's it, you're a dragoon now. That's the end of it. Highly recommend it, and I'm sending in our Discord chat this GIF of the guy throwing on the gauntlet to take out the horde of dragons he's throwing that are going to the sky, and I'm like, that just the dedication to the craft of that animation, just delicious. All right,
that's good.
Now see, me, who has legitimately never actually played any sort of real MMO besides RuneScape before.
That counts. That does count.
I played it. I was like 13 playing it on a library computer, maybe even younger than that. So literally my only MMO. You a couple weeks ago were streaming you fighting the Ultima weapon.
Yeah.
And boy howdy, there was a lot happening on screen, and I had absolutely no idea how to decipher anything that was happening. There were about 90 icons on the bottom of the screen. There were 80 people around. It looked like nobody was taking damage, but also like this Ultima weapon that is supposed to be like Destroyer of Worlds was just like getting fucking wrecked by these
I need to put out to you, the fact that I wasn't dying means I had 2 good healers on my ass, because I was
60 little mans just like hanging out there. I was very confused and very overwhelmed, and I just wanted to play my little cards and let my little squirrels come out and get sacrificed and then go to bed.
I like how your interpretation of the game is like, okay, what's he doing? Oh, he's fighting the end boss. This is really confusing. Like, yes. And also, can you believe that was called a dungeon at that point? There are raids which are 24 people. The thing that you saw was 8 people. So when there's 24 people, it's pandemonium, and I love it. Because everyone's you're divided into 3 8-man teams, and everyone's having to work together and pick different sides of the bosses to try to like attack and annoy and distract. And all the tanks are working with each other. Like, I'll tank him this side, and you'll tank him that side, and we'll tank him that side. It's dope. It's really, really fucking cool. Like, if you love the camaraderie that comes with a Destiny raid, that is, what is that? 8 people? 6 people?
6.
Yeah. 24 people all working together, and everyone has a defined job. The healer has a defined job. The DPS people have a defined job. The tanks, there's only 3 of those. They have a defined job. Everyone do your job, and we're going to make it out of this alive. And sometimes the monster does like an insta-wipe thing, where it's like they're about to cast something to the ground. There was a creature, a behemoth we were fighting. Josh, you know what a behemoth is.
I know what a behemoth is. I've played Final Fantasy. I know this.
There was a behemoth we were fighting, and it cast Meteor, and everyone typed in chat, here's what you do! Here's how to dodge! And the tanks have to, like, get up there, and they cast their barricade magic, and all the healers kind of run to the back, and all the DPS go to the back, and they're firing everything. It looks like something out of the fucking Avengers, is what I'm trying to say. And it's dope as shit!
This, to me, And it could be the fact that I've never played an MMO. Maybe I'll get into it. Maybe just like Eve, this is one of those things that sounds really fucking awesome in theory, and to hear stories about it, and to hear people who come back from the war and tell the tales like you are, like, oh, he was about to cast meteor, and then barrier, and I'm like sitting here like, yeah, but that sounds overwhelming, and there's no chance that this ADHD mind at 32 years of age with 3 kids running around is ever going to have the mental capacity to understand and actually be able to do that.
That is the best part, Josh. Now, I know you're probably not going to play the game, but that is the best part for anyone that might be listening. If you feel like this sounds great, but it sounds overwhelming, the first thing the game does when you log in, after you create your character and everything, is what I said before. It invites you to the Novice Network, and you will have an entire friendly chat room. I actually am impressed with the community of this game that will just walk you through anything. If you have any sort of question, they'll tell you what to do. If you're like, okay, at this point I want to join a clan, they call them guilds, and they call them free companies. The game just says, okay, here are people looking for free companies right now. We'll auto enlist you if they have auto enlist on. So they'll just pop you into the free company. It's one of those games where you're never alone unless you choose to be. If you ever have a question. Oh, and the support system is hilariously funny because you could just pop in, and if you're on an RP server, like a role-playing server, which those are for the hyper-dedicated, and they actually respect your complaints. There's a story that went around on Reddit for a couple years ago where someone was RPing as a table, and someone else was bugging them like, what are you doing? Why are you just holding still? Why are you just a table? And they put in the support ticket saying, hello, I'm RPing as a table, and this person keeps bugging me. And the offender got punished because they're like, this is an RP server. That person was a table. You need to respect their ability
exactly.
to just be a table.
That's right.
The game is so successful that
didn't they have to temporarily shut down sales of the game because
they stopped selling the game? Imagine the chutzpah on the gaming company that says, we're suffering from so much success, we're not giving anyone new the ability to play it.
That is so good.
What's wild is it's not a brand new game. It's not a game that has just been like, oh, we're going to launch, and oh shit, we did too much. Like, this has been out for a while, and just all of a sudden, like, y'all, it's too much, too quick. Shut her down. Shut her down.
It's because they were offering there are 5 versions of the game, and they were offering the entire first 2 of it just completely for free. And that's a lot of freaking content you get with the first 2 of it. That is hundreds of hours they just give you for free. And I highly advise anyone that's curious to give it a shot. What do you got to lose besides the hard drive space? You're getting quite literally the best MMO I think I've ever played for free. Yeah, what's up?
Where do you download Final Fantasy 14?
I am glad you asked.
Oh God.
Oh, buddy, he's got you. Checkmate.
If you type in Final Fantasy 14, whether you want to spell with the Roman numerals or with the numbers, free trial into your Google browser or whatever browser you use, the first thing that'll pop up on February 22nd, mind you, that's when they reopen it, is how to download the entire thing for free. And then you get, I can't stress this enough, you get A Realm Reborn, which is the first release of the game, and all of Heavensward, which is jaw-droppingly good. I can't express how good of an expansion that is I've been playing so far. It is deep. Like, it is the type of, like, RPGing that I've been waiting for type of deep. You get all that for free. And then they're like, okay, if you want to go beyond this, you want Stormblood, you want Shadowbringers, and finally you want Endwalker, that's where you got to pay the $60. But $90 gets you all 3 of those. What do you got to lose? Why not? Try it for free.
Video games. They're pretty fun. I guess
this is what happens when we do unscripted podcasts. The fact that we did not intend for this podcast to be MMO discussion / Destiny talk, but yet here we are a half hour in, and oh boy.
And we didn't expect it, but it's inevitable. It's like how all animals will eventually evolve into a crab.
Yeah.
Yep.
All podcasts will eventually go into Final Fantasy 14 or Destiny.
Yep. It's true.
They will
And
all will converge.
Honestly, I have nobody to blame but myself. I started it. It's my
Uh-huh.
fault.
It is very true.
It sure is.
I did it.
After you're done with Witch Queen, Josh, for free, up to level 60.
The raid is going to be in a pyramid ship.
I'm not level 60 yet. I want to make that very clear. Level 60 is a healthy amount of content.
I can't.
The raid is going to be in a pyramid ship. I'm so excited. It's going to be so sick.
Stop.
Hey, Josh. I don't know
Mike.
if we ever got this. What did you think of Inscription? Now that I believe you have completed it.
I have finally completed Inscription. I've beat it. I very much enjoyed Inscription. I'm really glad that I knew nothing about the game, and that even though the game had completely enveloped 3 of the main 10 people that I play games with, there was still such vague conversation that post the initial part of Inscription, I had absolutely no idea what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's I have not been that surprised by a game in a long time, just with the way that they altered the gameplay halfway, the kind of augmented real life stuff that they added into that, and then taking after the middle portion of when you finally play Inscription, then bringing the initial mechanics back but changing them in a way.
Yeah.
Now this is a question. I picked the Robot Man to have my second portion with. If you pick the other scribes, do you play their version on that third portion?
You're always with
PO3
at the end.
Okay.
But yeah, like you were saying, I think, and like I mentioned in our Game of the Year podcast, I think, or maybe it was in the Inscription spoiler cast. I think it's what is so cool about this game is that not only does it have does it sell these really interesting and twists, it does it in the sound and art where you're in this woody spooky kind of cabin thing, but then all of a sudden you're playing this Earthbound Pokemon style RPG thing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're in some dark, horrifying, cold, deeply
very
unpleasant, sterile environment. Because Leshy's cabin is kind of cozy in a way, even though it's horrifying. But this is a very different type of horror in the third act. So it's really cool.
In PO3s, you feel like you're about to be pro. There is people have been experimented on and probed in a way that is very unsettling.
Yeah, and big probing energy.
Yeah,
not good. Bad vibe.
I mean,
the vibe has changed and it's now probing.
Yeah. So I guess we're getting into a bit of spoilers with Inscription. PNO3 has you handcuffed to the table, and that's already that immediately makes it worse than the cabin.
Oh yeah, because I'm just gonna get
yeah, you're I may not be able to leave the cabin, but at least I can get up from the table. I feel like I have a little bit of control over my life right now.
I mean, you don't have. I think ultimately Leshy was the creepier one because you didn't know what or who Leshy was, and anytime you got close to where the teeth are, you just see the eyes. And yeah, if and when you lose, you just
so good.
And then it fades to black, and you just assume. I don't know. Leshy's cabin is a pretty effed up encounter. But Piano 3, I don't know if it's worse or not. I don't know. They're both different phases of like horrifying.
It's
And
all bad.
I think the really nice thing is that like so aesthetically each of these places are like really different in very like striking and cool ways. Then the card game changes in like it's not just like a kind of a like a and then Poochie went back to his home planet, haha, kind of thing, like kind of plot twist. It's very like the game changes very significantly, but it's still recognizably Inscription. But the twist on it on the mechanics is big enough that like it's really like you kind of figure out like okay, this whole thing is different, but then you know how to find like the your like OP cards and builds that were like by the time you're getting to the end of that act, you've figured out this like new twist really well, and
Yeah.
it just they did such a good job on that. And then I think like the epilogue is like a really interesting blend of like horror, but it's also bittersweet. Um, just it's and then kind of like the shock ending, like it's just such a fun package.
Yeah,
Like
my only complaint is I know that you guys have downloaded a mod that like gives you kind of like a semi-endless mode and all sorts of
mhm.
post game stuff, and I wish more something like that was more directly supported by the game, because honestly by the end of that game I wanted more. And and this could be just a mechanic of like the way that Inscription works in like being part of the game and the experience, but like I clicked new game and it literally just started me back at like Leshy's cabin, learning the mechanics of Inscription game. I'm like, I just want to play more of that game and not like, oh, put a squirrel out and sacrifice. Like, fuck off with
Yeah.
that,
Oh yeah,
So
we'll get
the
to
mod, Casey's mod, you can get that right now for free. It's not difficult at all to install, but be aware it's in beta and it is rough. Like it's actually very unfair at points, and it tells you beforehand, like, hey, this is a beta. It's really uncool at the moment, but you're welcome to test it out.
and they just nerfed the field mouse perk.
yeah.
God damn it.
It needed it. All
No.
right.
But
I saw the
and
things you were doing.
Gex War.
Gex War.
I and I want I want to download Casey's mod and explore that, but part of me, and this is not like detracting from the incredible experience that I thought Inscription was and whatnot, but I'm just like, I wish that the post game was a little more thought out of like I would love to just play Leshy some more and experience that, or hell, even give me the opportunity to do a full run against the other scribes. Like, give me that opportunity to play PO3 again, or play the other two and explore those decks, or some sort of mashup, instead of just saying like it's over and literally start from scratch again. And again, that's a minor complaint of me, but overall Inscription was incredible. Was not expecting that at all from what I heard about the game. And yeah, it was very good. It doesn't change my ranking in my list at all, having completed it.
Noted.
But it's still very good.
What was your ranking for that one?
I think it came in at 3.
Okay, all right, that's pretty all right. Oh, you mentioned Poochie go to space, going back to their home planet. Josh, have you seen the movie The Eternals?
I have not.
Okay, are you wanting to watch it?
I mean, at some point I will have to make sure I'm like up to date on the MCU when the next big tentpole comes out in theaters. But
okay, because I wanted to like spend, I guess, 10 minutes bitching about it. But if you haven't seen it yet, I will stay my tongue.
Well, good thing we have a podcast dedicated directly to bitching about movies.
That is true.
There are 3 good things in the Eternals, and there are 300 other bad things. That one of them being the runtime, and that is unforgivable.
Yeah, we'll do it. We should. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm dying to do an Eternals podcast,
Because
but
it would be
also
boring.
because it's just like, oh, spoilers for John Milton's Paradise Lost from 1667 here, folks. Sorry about that. Just FYI.
It'll be the shortest Creed got robbed in unscripted history.
No,
It's-
if we were just to spend like half an hour dunking on that movie, there's a lot of meat on that bone.
It's just like, what if you take the cool, like literally, it is the coolest idea of a plot conceived of by man, like in the history of us telling stories. The single coolest plot you could have. What if you made that boring?
Yeah.
Marvel's The Eternals.
Yeah. Man.
What a shame. I have a video game actually. I'm gonna raise my hand, so therefore I get to talk now.
Make sure you subscribe to all unscripted across the internet so that when we do the shitty Eternals Creed got robbed, you are notified.
If I played the latest of the Dark Pictures anthology. I should say Sarah and I played through it. House of Ashes. And I had this gets the official mic, had me hooting and hollering. A stamp of approval. Cause
real quick,
shit.
Real quick.
How
many people survived?
We all made it.
Really?
And I'm gonna say, Ray, take off your headphones for 1 second. I know you might edit this, but Salim made it home. He got to see us. He got to go home.
Not for me.
No!
The dipshit lieutenant got iced.
Yeah, he was a dipshit.
Yeah. Black site for him.
Ouch. But this was so for those who don't know, this is it Supermassive?
Yes.
I'm gonna look this up.
Supermassive made this
Yeah,
game?
Supermassive Games is the
Really?
maker. Most probably known for Until Dawn, kind of being their trademark hit, and this is kind of a spiritual successor. This is
the fourth entry in the Dark Pictures anthology, so since they started the Dark Pictures anthology post Until Dawn, which is not technically part of the Dark Pictures anthology, they've always done like a next time in the series, and for the first time they've kind of admitted, like, I guess this is a season, because they said that the next iteration, the next entry in the series is going to be the season 1 finale.
Yes, which is very interesting. But yeah, so basically, I think just to give kind of like the ground level concept for this. So it's kind of like a choose your own adventure game. This one is set. I think it has and these are all like horror games basically, where your goal is your quote goal is to try and get everybody to survive whatever nonsense is happening. I thought this setting was really interesting because it's set in Iraq in 2003, which is a very busy time for the country of Iraq, as you can imagine.
Lots was going on.
Yes. Fighting imperialist dogs and whatnot. But yeah, so it's a very interesting setting for, like, it's something I didn't. I hadn't played the other ones, but I might go back to them. We'll see, but I think that setting was just like really interesting and appealing to me because it's like, whoa, this is like a setting you don't see done often in horror, and I think the story that they tell with it is is very like, it's very on the nose, but it also works really well, which I think is kind of how I feel about a lot of the game. It's like, it leans very heavy into like the genre tropes and like the kind of genre fiction of it. Like you all kind of know how the story goes, but it works. So who cares? Like, you know, a cliche is only is only a cliche if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And
there are a lot.
It works in this game.
There are a lot of times where you're like, I know what they're doing, but you're not mad about it. Like the way that they frame things, or you know what kind. You know, it's at least early on when they start hinting at things and things are about to unfold, and you're like, oh, I know what's going to happen next, but you're not mad about it. You're excited. And you're like, okay, like I think I know what's going to happen next. Like, you know, in that capacity.
Because, you know, you see the statue of, you know, unique Sumerian god, and you're like, oh, yeah, here we go. Uh-huh. And then, you know, Act 3 happens. You're like, oh, this is where they're doing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I've seen this before, but also it rules, and this whips.
Yep.
Oorah.
Yeah, oorah.
What I have to say. Man, Josh, we should talk. We should talk about it.
We should talk. We should do like a little mini series on that. We should also attempt, because I've heard that the co-op mode is kind of interesting and also has slightly different stuff happening.
Oh, that's right.
Like maybe even for the next one or one of the older ones, we do a Josh and Mike couples like multi playthrough of one of the Dark Pictures games.
So those what did you play on? Did you play on medium or hard or easy?
I think we played on medium or easy.
Some of those button presses are quick.
Okay, I need you to say that to my wife. My wife. She's out here somewhere and could possibly hear me, because she always gets on me for messing up QuickTime events, and I am notoriously bad at them because I lose focus, and I'm getting old. My reaction times are not what they used to be. I literally will sit there sometimes, because I played Xbox for so long that my mind always thinks in like Xbox buttons, and I have to sit there.
Oh, you're playing on PlayStation
and
now.
I'm sitting there going, triangle, square, circle, X, triangle, square, circle, X, try and remember. And then a QuickTime events will come and just like an X, and I'll hit a triangle. I'm like,
oh, why?
Fuck. So, but yes, some of those are really quick.
Some of those are quick. Usually I think it's, you know, I don't want to make any. It is kind of interesting. Like, once you play through it, like, you really want to go through and think about it's really fun to think about the structure of like, oh, it's interesting that, you know, X or Y was always going to make it to this story beat, or you can tell that this little section kind of assumed or kind of is built that they knows that you might not have this character here. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes you can kind of see like the, you know, you can kind of see like, you know, the Disney magic happening behind the scenes or whatever. Like you can whatever you call that stuff, when you can see the things making the other things go. You can see behind the curtain. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, but it's in a way that is kind of fun to think about, like the logic of how that all kind of comes together. Like that's kind of fun.
Yes.
Like it's interesting to see how, you know, they they do, because after we played through it, we watched a playthrough of some of the Waypoint guys doing it. You know, I think. And to me, I was like, why would they do that? I was like, it was funny because, like, you know, like their playthrough, it didn't. I was watching their playthrough, and it's like, that doesn't feel canon to me. That's not what happened to me. Like, I don't like what they did with that character. They were too mean. I like how they played it. I like the way I played it instead. So, I really enjoyed it. I think just overall, it was it was exactly what I wanted. And like I said, you know, sometimes it doesn't matter if you do cliche stuff if it is really good. So, you know, it's just fun, because then you just kind of it kind of makes you feel like you're in on the joke, which is kind of cool. So,
quick question.
Yes.
Do I need to have played Until Dawn to appreciate House of Ashes, or would that help a lot?
I don't think so at all.
No?
I mean, you kind of get, like, you know, you would be like a little bit more familiar of like how like the kind of gameplay itself works. Mm-hmm. But as far as like narratively or mechanically, it's not. They're pretty independent. So, Until Dawn is fun, but I kind of think this one is a little bit tighter package for me. I don't know.
Well, they're definitely shorter,
Yes.
according to howlongtobeat.com.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of that's why I appreciate the kind of switch to the kind of the like
The
anthology model,
version, yeah.
because then it gets you, because then it feels like less of a chore to like go back and replay it and like see how it breaks out differently if you make wildly different decisions. It lets that, you don't have to like sustain a good like,
no, they're what,
kind of
3
like
to 5 hours or so.
Yeah, if you're once you probably know what you're doing, like you can probably cook through it pretty quick, I'm sure.
And they're not.
But like
They don't.
you
They're
don't
not
have to like
full price
sustain
either.
that. Yeah.
I want to say brand new, they're $40, and honestly,
I got it on sale for $20.
Yeah, I think I picked it up a month or two after release at GameStop. With like a 20% off kind of situation, so it was like 31 or something like that. So
yeah,
they're very good. They're very affordable, and they don't overstay their welcome kind of situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think it like at what was I gonna say? It reminds me of how like I didn't particularly love the new Twilight Zones. And I think part of the reason why those series struggle, or like some of the newer ones, because they're an hour long versus like the original series, which are just half-hour episodes. And sometimes it's hard to like sustain a story like that and sustain that atmosphere without kind of it falling apart. And I think these are just like the length for this was just like is perfectly paced, like which is very well done.
Well, and that's Until Dawn was very good, but part of the reason it was longer is I feel like Until Dawn relied on there being another plot twist, which gave you a off ramp into another scenario.
It's almost secretly like two games,
yes,
if you really think about it, in a way that this one is not.
Yes, you're very much correct, because of the what is happening in Act 1 versus Act 2 essentially like are vastly different, and because of things that happen and the plot twists, it gives you that opportunity to explore more and have a few more hours of gameplay. But there's Until Dawn is very good, but it does start to wear on you, because you get that sense of games like this, you always feel like you're getting close to the end, and then when you're not, you get upset in a way, I feel like. So
I think that's called bad pacing.
And I don't think I don't think that Until Dawn had bad pacing, but I think that the anthology model and doing smaller games more quickly is better suited for the kinds of stories that they're trying to tell.
Yeah.
That
theme song bangs too, but
yes,
sorry,
it does. I want
so good.
I want more of the curator. He should be. I feel like in the previous games he was more.
Oh my god.
More present, and I wish he was in this one more. Love him. The boat one sucks. Don't play it.
Love a dark, mysterious entity. Pining mysteriously.
Yes.
Love
it. For the last little bit of, I know we haven't talked a lot of gaming news beyond Bungie getting bought by Sony, but I know I said that derisively, and I kind of mean it. So Bungie being bought up by some bigger entity is just another Tuesday to me. I don't know. It just keeps happening. But another piece of gaming news is the pricing model of the new console generations. So you know how like there are a lot of companies that are saying like, okay, the price of the new game should be $70. I'm rounding up the penny versus $60, right? So Horizon Forbidden West just released a couple days ago. Actually, it released this past Friday or Thursday, and the PS4 version is $59.99. The PS5 version is $69.99. Did you know you could buy the PS4 version and you get a free upgrade to the PS5 version. They did this in anticipation of someone buying the PS4 version and being ever so fortunate enough to get a PS5 at a later date, and then they get a free upgrade. So PS5 players are asking like, well, wait, why should I buy the PS5 version? And the official answer from Ask PlayStation is, we will answer further questions when the game releases. So now the game is released and they've gone a bit silent.
That's loud, dude.
Mike's like,
you
yeah,
can
I
just
can
cancel your pre-order then.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is odd. This is odd. Many people are calling it the PS5 tax, which reminds me of the Switch tax. A Switch game being digital is $10 off.
They'll probably throw some bone at like the people who bought the PS5 one to be like, hey, you get a 10% coupon on the first DLC or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right. It's just that there was a tangible, and I've played both versions back to back just to show one of my friends. There's a tangible and marked difference between the PS4 and the PS5 version of Final Fantasy VII Remix. For the sake of Josh, one's at 30 frames per second, one's at 60 frames per second. Job done. I mean, if you have the TV for it, one's at 1080p, one's at 4K. Again, the job done. But if there's literally no difference beyond the free upgrade, that seems kind of a, maybe you guys should have just charged the same price. I know
the PS4 version is now $70.
Yeah, might as well.
That's the answer right there.
There you go.
Yep, there it is.
Good idea, Ray.
Swoosh.
Good.
From the half court, swoosh.
Happy All-Star Weekend, everybody.
You know what? You know what hasn't happened in a really long time? Time for Josh's. Time for Josh's. Time for Josh. Time for Josh. Time for Josh's. Josh's Tech Minute. I still love so much that Ray has to go into the audio version and edit that audio in himself. So there's not just this long silence and pause, and that just makes me so happy.
There could be that pause. Who knows? I might be getting squirrely.
Oh, wow.
All right.
So
get a timer. 1 minute.
In the tech world, there is a lot happening. I know it's still basically impossible to buy a GPU right now, and Bitcoin prices are crashing, and who knows what's happening in global supply chains and whatnot. But in the back end, there is still a lot of stuff happening because there is competition like we haven't seen before, and people are poaching each other, fighting each other left and right. And honestly, I think in the next 2 to 3 iterations of CPU GPUs, we're going to see some incredible leaps forward. We have the Intel getting ready to release their own dedicated graphics cards, and we're starting to see some benchmarks from it where the top-end Intel Xe discrete GPU does not beat a 3070, but also Intel in their first generation GPU is going to get close to an RTX 3070, which is just fucking mind-blowing. You can also see that Intel is getting really serious about their GPU architecture, that they just poached AMD's lead architect for Radeon graphics. So obviously the move to have an engineer at the helm of Intel and them getting into the GPU space is creating some very real world advances in that company of we are getting into competition again. We are getting into the discrete graphics card space. We have the Radeon 6000 series mobile CPUs launching right now and absolutely crushing it, and the new Radeon graphics in those absolutely crushing it. And then we had part of the I forget what event is happening right now, but Nvidia just announced that they are spent $9 billion, billion with a B, setting aside 5 nanometer chip supply for their upcoming 40 series graphics cards, the 4080 and 4090, which are rumored to be releasing in September of this time of this year, to be twice as fast as the current 3090. Ray, you're muted.
Here's where I have to step in. No one that legitimately wants one has a 3090. Why release the next series when people... One, less than a year later, when people are struggling to get the car. Imagine if the
At this point,
PlayStation
it's
6...
been 2 years. The 3090
Has it been 2 years?
The 3090 is 2 years old.
No way.
It came out in 2020.
No. Oh my gosh, it's 2022. It's the beginning of 2022. Hold on.
But it's not coming out until September.
Okay. All right. This just rings to me of like, imagine if Sony announced a PS6 right now, and you got people that can't even get a PS5. Is what it kind of screams to me.
I mean, in some capacity, yes. In some capacity, no. Like, a lot of these roadmaps for architecture, development, and releases and fab space are set years in advance. So they're constantly working with Samsung, TSMC, and Intel to like say like in 2 years we're gonna allocate this upcoming process for X amount of wafers for X architecture at X price. Like in some capacity, regardless of the supply shortages, NVIDIA, AMD, people who don't have their own fabs can't come up and say, you know what, actually cancel our order, because you know what's going to happen is Apple or other companies are going to come and say, you know what, we'll take that 5 nanometer fab time, and the more
we'll
to
find
come,
we'll do something with it.
We'll come up and do something with it, or so. Especially with NVIDIA losing $1.2 billion in the failed ARM acquisition, they're not really just ready to part with a lot of money. So them saying, hey, we already had this 5 nanometer space, we're going to make sure we've allotted even more. It was kind of inevitable that it was going to happen. And in some capacity, you hope that, okay, we're going to now have the 4080, the 4090, and that series of cards start to come out. They're still going to produce 30 series cards, and they may not be the Founders Editions, but in some capacity, them having an even higher end enthusiast SKU or SKUs can help those who want to get some of the more moderate tier 30 series, a 3060, a 3070, have less competition for those because the supply is better, because the people who are scooping up and scalping things are going for the higher end stuff. So in some capacity, yeah, I see what you're saying, Ray, but I also see why they would say, let's continue on this roadmap, let's get these things out there, especially because I think NVIDIA and AMD both want ray tracing to be a thing, so they're continually...
It is a thing.
I mean, it is, but it's not. Like, unless you have a 3090, there's no point in turning on ray tracing, because yeah, it makes your game look a little prettier, but like it also makes it run worse. So the better these GPUs are only going to get better at their onboard ray tracing. The RTX cores are only going to get better, so keep getting those out there and giving people a reason to continue to invest in ray tracing.
I will say, if you want some cheap, and bigger quotes, cheap ray tracing, get a 4K TV and a PS5, and Montebello. That is some damn good. You're not fighting a crypto bro for a card. You're just getting a PS5 and playing a video game as God intended, and it looks really good when you turn on ray tracing on like Ratchet and Clank, Rift in Time, or FF7 Remake, or any of the other games.
The Destiny 2
RTX,
character inventory screen.
Bump
yes.
that frame rate up.
You can. What game was it? Ratchet and Clank or Rift in Time. It still has ray tracing on when you turn it on to performance mode, so it's running at 60K 1080p. It's running at 60 frames per second, but 1080p. But it still has ray tracing effects. It's just turning off the 4K. Once you turn on a 4K, it drops the frame rate down to 30 frames.
I can live with that.
Yeah, I know some people that played the entire thing at 30 frames just because they wanted the 4K experience. I wanted 1080p, and I thought it looked great. Period. Still, I don't know. That's just a cheaper version, but I do hope, it gives me hope that more and more people are pardon my language, stepping on their own dick in the crypto market, and maybe people can actually buy GPUs to play games as intended.
Look, if you're gonna buy 50 3090s to mine crypto, you should at least know what a phishing email is. I'm just saying.
Do you guys want to spend like 3 minutes on that, on how NFTs
not before I declare that on this podcast. I will send Joe Biden $5 if he declares that if he issues an executive order to demand that graphics cards go to gamers only. Yes, this will create a national registry of gamers. Don't worry about it. But I will give him $5.
This is Mike's secret ploy for when he becomes president.
That's right.
He's like, give me the registry. I have some calls to make.
That's right. You ever see Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Ray?
Yeah, several times. I love that movie, actually. I think it's
got some ideas in that movie. Just kidding. That's a joke, folks. But yes, I did have a thing. What was I going to say about the tech minute? Josh has a lovely tech minute. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I would like to buy a graphics card. I would like to have it be a normal price. Mr. President, what will you do? Oh, here's another thing. If your country has any sort of precious metal that is used to mine graphics cards, you should make sure you're friends with America. If not, Godspeed.
Yeah, there's a lot of silicon. Isn't silicon just like processed sand, basically? I know that's a very diminutive way to
They put lightning in the rocks, Ray, and then it makes the sparkles glow.
Nuclear power is just hot rocks, and it makes water go poosh. That's it.
That is the funniest part about nuclear power. It's like, do you know what we did? We fucking split an atom. We split an atom. Do you know what we know what we use it? What we do with that? We make water hot.
Make water really hot.
Make water hot. It's just it's fucking incredible.
When you really get down to all energy generation, every piece of energy generation that mankind knows so far is all turbine based.
All animal become crab. All podcasts become Destiny or Final Fantasy. All energy generation become
turbine.
Beam.
It's just turbines spinning. That's it. The magnetron is turbine spinning. Hydroelectric is just putting a turbine in the water and watching the turbine get.
Not that there's like a ton of things that are funny about like nuclear power, but that is one of the very funny. That is one of the. It's like, hey, do you know what the same thing like the fucking locomotive does? That's basically what a nuclear power plant does at the end of the day. It's the same fucking thing. It
is.
Like, how is this possible?
Like
mods.
I hope for the day where we figure out something beyond just turbine spinning. Obviously, there's photovoltaics, which is really cool. But then when you get to like areas where there's like, I don't know, the sun is not there for 6 months out of the year, you're like, we need a turbine to go spinning.
Yeah, you read about like the heat death of the universe, and then you just learn that all our universe ever existed for was just to heat water and like turn a cosmic turbine in the multiverse.
The sun is just a big turbine. It's just a.
That's what all of this is for, Ray. It's just
oh my gosh! Wait.
Uh-huh.
I know you're gonna hate me for this, but legitimately, stars do rotate to produce the energy for the fusion that they create. Oh no, it's all turbine.
That's right, son. I always say, you're either the steam or you're the turbine.
You always say that.
Get busy living or get busy spinning.
Well, do you know where you can hear the hot steam that turns the turbine that is Unscripted Gaming?
Where?
Where?
At unscriptedgaming.com. You can find links to all of the places we are on the internet. We are on Facebook at Unscripted Game Podcast. We're on Twitter at unscript_gaming. We are on YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google, everywhere you want to get us in your earballs and your eyeballs and listen to us continue the turbines of this amazing podcast. Thank you so much for listening to Unscripted Gaming. My name is Josh.
My name is Ray. I can't believe you said to spin the turbines of this amazing podcast. I love that.
My name is Mike.
Peace.